All I require for life, God has given me, and I know who I am. We are a chosen generation. We've been called for to show His excellence. Let's make sure I got it on. God has given me, for I know who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am. Where He says I'm at. I know who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am. Where He says I'm at. I know who I am. I'm working in power. I'm working miracles. I live a life of favor. For I know who I am. I'm working in power. I'm working miracles. I live a life of favor. For I know who I am. Yeah. Just starting off with some music tonight. I hope you have your tea. I love that song too, babe. Thank you so much for joining in with me. I know who I am. So I hope you all have your tea. This is time for Tea with R. Marie. And as you can see, it says tea is my love language. I absolutely love tea. And just a little secret, if you ever want to just make your tea, just have that little extra to it, then just add your little flavor stick to it. I think this one is mango pineapple and it's a honey stick. So just adds a little yum to your tea. But we're going to get started. I'm just waiting on a few people to join me tonight. I miss you guys. It's been some time. I think about 3 weeks since my last episode. So I'm happy to be back. And as I said, I want you guys to just join in the conversation tonight. I'm going to turn this down. I want you all to join in the conversation tonight because I think it's a much needed conversation. Hello, Melissa. I'm so glad you're joining me. And for those of you who are coming on, say hello. The program that I use, I cannot see who is on the broadcast. So I won't know you're here unless you say hello. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. You know, now I'm starting to realize trying to do this show on a weekly basis, why shows, even on, our favorite TV shows that we watch, why they have seasons, right? Because, we may get to the end and it's week 6 or week 8 and you're like, the season is almost over. And that is because people need rest, they need balance, right? And so I enjoyed a little break, but I am happy to be back because, like I said, I missed you guys. All right, so we're going to turn off our little music here. Just gonna fade that on down. And I am going to get started. Melissa, it's so good to see your name. I wish I could see you, but it's good to see your name. Thank you for joining. And so, as I said, if you saw my post, I said that this was going to be a much needed conversation. You know how sometimes you just keep hearing the same message over and over, and it is just confirmation for you, and you feel like it's so good that you can't just keep it to yourself. You want to be able to share it because I know that as it helped me, it is going to help you. All right. So on Monday, well, first, let me just back up. Let me back up. Okay. I'm so excited. I haven't even introduced myself. So, Somebody may be watching and may not know who I am. So, my apologies. I am R. Marie, your healing coach, and I position women to heal well, to be whole, and to live in freedom. So, tonight, this topic is really going to help you when it comes to living in freedom. Because if you cannot control this one thing that we're going to talk about tonight, then I would say that you are bound to a lot of other things if you can't control this. And so you may be surprised to hear what I'm going to talk about tonight. But like I said, it is such an important message that it really has been hitting home with me. And I've seen so many posts about it. I've heard pastors preach about it. And so I want to share with you a little nugget. And so I said in a couple of posts that 2020 has been teaching us a lot, y'all. 2020 has been a year for the record books, okay? It has been a year that I don't think we will ever forget, and a year that we never thought we would see. Okay, so there's been so many things going on from COVID 19, 2020, to so many deaths. And it's not just from COVID. You know, everybody thinks that if you hear somebody being sick nowadays, you think that they have COVID, and that may not be the case. People are still dying from cancer, from diabetes, from heart attacks, from so many other issues. And so 2020 has just been that year. And the most recent death of actor Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, we all just grew to know and love him. Um, just his death just caught everybody by surprise. But one of the things that really stood out to me about what we found out after his death is his illness and how he just kept rocking it out even in the midst of his suffering. And I've heard so many people even say, well, why didn't he share? Or, he's gone through this alone, or he's gone through this in silence. And that may not be the case. Even though, he's a celebrity, I'm sure his inner circle knew what he was going through, but he chose not to let the world know. And I understand that completely. But what I really admired about him is that he, in spite of everything that he was going through, he kept pushing, he kept maximizing the moment, and he kept presenting his talents to the world and giving his gifts that God had placed in him to the world. And he did not stop. He did not stop. So I love that he really maximized the moment. And that is a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to take a little sip of tea. Going to move my little honey stick. Oh, y'all, this is so good. I love ginger tea. It's so strong, it almost made me choke for a minute. But I love, love, love ginger tea. And so this is some tea that I have. And like I said, if you want to give it a little extra punch, just add you a little honey stick to it. Thank me later. I promise you, it is pure goodness, my little hug in a cup. So, back to what I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about maximizing the moment. I did a post on Monday and it said this because this just hit me. And again, it's just a combination of so many messages that I've been hearing from God, from other people, from friends, from loved ones, from pastors. Just a message that, how you, again, you just keep hearing the same thing and it just makes the message that much greater because it begins to confirm that this is a message that you really need to hear. And so I hope that you feel the same way tonight. If you're going to catch the replay, let me know that you are catching the replay because, again, this is a message you want to get in your heart. You want to be able to listen to it and get it. Okay. So on Monday, I posted this, and the post said, information does not bring transformation. You also need implementation. And so, again, we can hear so much, we can take in so much, but until we start putting feet to what we hear, until we start being active and bringing things to action, making that thing from just a noun, person, place, or thing to a verb, and really start putting feet to what we hear, that is how we start to maximize our moments. And so that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, because again, I think 2020, if we really lean in, if we pay attention and we take heed, we have learned a lot of lessons just in this year alone. And so we don't want to leave this year, even this month, being that we're just getting into the month of September. We don't want to leave this time and not maximize the time that God has given us. So I'm going to get right into what I want to talk about tonight. And so I have some notes here. So if you see me look off, I am looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I give you all the good information that I have for you tonight. All right, so maximizing our moments. First, let's just be honest. Okay, death hits hard. It hits hard. And I'm pretty sure that every time, if you're like me, every time you think about death, you put yourself in those shoes because you know that that's going to come a day for you as well. You don't know when, you don't know how, but you do know that that will also affect you, because all of us will die at some point. And so I know for me, even when I heard about Chadwick, it really was, oh my gosh, this man is the same age as me. He was going to be my age this coming November. Um, Born in the same year I was born. Wow, it really hit home. You know, when people die, it hits home and it causes you to look within and to think, wow, what if that was me? What if it was my time? Have I really maximized the moments and the time and the days that God has given to me? So that's what I want to talk about, because I want this message to be something that kind of snatches those edges up a little bit, something that really kind of gets us to check ourselves and be honest with ourselves. Because again, it's not just about what we know, it is about what we do. Knowing something and doing it are two entirely different things. But what we want for this year is to help those two things begin to align together. That's what we want for this year. So, first thing is, we don't know how much time we have here on earth. We don't know how much time we have. And we really can't be free if time as we know it, time when I'm saying 24 hours in a given day, because all of us have been given the same amount of time. All of us have been given the same amount, but we don't know when our time is going to be up. And so I want you to just sit with that for a minute, because sometimes I think we think of death as so far out there, and I still have so much more time. And I'm sure so many people that have died this year in 2020 thought the very same thing. They did not see that when this year began, that this will be their last, that that will be their last day. And so this is not a gloom and doom and to scare you and to creep you out. It's not, it's none of that. But what it is a check for us to really start thinking, how am I spending my time? Am I going to leave this world empty? Just have poured everything out that God has given me, everything that God has told me to do. Am I going to leave this world being able to confidently say, I've done it all? I've done it all. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight. So just think about this for a second. You know, we get stuck on so many different things when it comes to a time clock. We get stuck on, you know, when am I going to get married? And, you know, when am I going to meet my Boaz, right? And when am I going to, um, have children? Or when am I going to get that perfect job? Or when am I going to be able to finish this degree? We think of all these things and we kind of put them on our timetable. And sometimes, if we're honest, we kind of get mad at God, like, you kind of leaving me out of this picture a little bit. I'm feeling like my desire and what you're doing ain't really matching up. And so, we kind of start putting things on a time clock and really kind of getting a little salty and in our feelings when things are not happening the way we think they should happen. Right? Can we be honest and admit that? Can somebody that's watching just be honest and admit that sometimes things don't happen on our timetable, right? So just be honest and admit that. So we get stuck on a lot of those things. How is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? We get stuck on those things. But, and the question often is, God, when is it going to be my time? But I want to challenge you today, because the time that we actually do have and that we can control, we may not be able to control, we may not be able to control when our spouse is going to come, when we're going to have children, when we're going to, whatever the goal is, we may not be able to control that. But what we can control is how we spend our day to day and how we are maximizing our moment, how we are maximizing our moment. And it's so easy not to do this. And so I want to ask you some very important questions. And as I'm asking these questions, I want you to be honest with yourself first. I'm not going to ask you to type your business in the comments. I promise y'all I'm not. I'm not going to ask you to type it in the comments. If you want to now, I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. But I want you to be honest about where you are. And so, oftentimes, the things that we can control within the time that we've been given, remember, we all have 24 hours. And you know what's funny? I don't care if it's the wealthy, from the celebrity status to someone living in poverty, we all have the same amount of time. And we all are going to approach death at some point in our lives. None of us are exempt from either of those two things. None of us. And so just think about that. That's something that that's going to happen to all of us at some point. But the things that we can control, oftentimes what we find ourselves doing, and when I say this message y'all has been hitting home, I'm a firm believer that it teaches me first before I'm able to put it out there to anybody else, right? And so sometimes things that we know that we should be doing, we procrastinate. We keep saying, I'll do this, or I'll do this tomorrow. I'm tired. I've had a long day. I'll do it tomorrow. And you know that it takes a while for tomorrow to come. And for some of us, tomorrow hasn't come. And we've been saying that forever and ever, that I'm going to get this done tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And it just simply has not come. But that is something, sis, that you can control. That is something that you have control over, that you can maximize your moment. And instead of continuing to procrastinate, you can start by getting some things done. And so we're going to talk more about that. And sometimes we even become complacent. We become stuck and think that we're good just where we are, even though we know that there's so much more, that we can be so much better, that there's so much more to the depth of who we really are, right? But sometimes we just get complacent. We just are stuck where we are, and we are not moving. We're not maximizing our moments. We're not growing. And so we want to be able to grow. We want to be able to flourish. And sometimes, if we're honest, we're not growing because we're not doing the work. We're not growing because we are not doing the work. Can anybody be honest? It's not just me that have been there, right? Can anybody honestly say, I've been there? I've been there. And then sometimes our issue is we're waiting, and you fill in the blank for whatever it is that you're waiting for. We're waiting for something to happen. I'll start this when my children are grown. I'll start this when this happens. I'll start this when it's a good time for my spouse and I. I'll start this when I get this age. I'll start this. Sandra, it's so good to see you. I'll start this then, right? But we can start today. That is something that we have control. And when I say, y'all, that I have been guilty, I have been guilty. I have been guilty. So I am not talking at you. I want you to grow just as I have experienced some growth in this area. and still have a lot of growing to do. I still have some growing to do. So I want to start asking you some questions that I want you to be honest with yourself about. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about maximizing your moment. Information does not bring transformation because we all want to change, right? We should all see growth. We should all see change and transformation in our lives on a regular basis. And so, information alone does not bring transformation. What you need also is implementation. So, what I'm doing tonight is asking some questions that are very important for you to answer and to be honest with yourself and say, am I really maximizing my moment? Am I really doing what God put me on this earth to do? Can I do it better? Or am I just being stuck and complacent, knowing that there's so much more out there that I should be growing and glowing in, right? So, yes, Melissa. Melissa says procrastination is a blocker for our blessings. It is. It is. And just think. I'm so glad you said that, Melissa, because just think for a second. How often have we said, I don't have time for this? I don't have time. I don't have time to write this book. I don't have time to start this new hobby that I've been wanting to do. I don't have time to read this book. And some of us, we have all of these Amazon packages coming in where we're ordering books and we're doing all of these things and haven't read anything because we're saying to ourselves, I don't have time. But I promise you, if you answer these questions honestly, you're going to start to see that you do have time and that is something that you can control and prioritize. All right, so the first question is, what little things are you spending your time on that could impact you getting to where you want to be? Because I will tell you this, it's the little things that add up. You know how you go to lunch every day? For those of you, I don't have the pleasure of doing that, but you go to lunch every day for those of you who do that. And you're buying a $5 and $10 lunch, or let's even say Starbucks for all of my Starbucks people out there. Every morning you're stopping for coffee, and you're like, that's just $4. That doesn't sound like a lot, right? That doesn't sound like a lot, but you do that every day, and you start to calculate how much you're spending weekly, how much you're spending monthly, how much you're spending yearly on a cup of coffee. And you start to realize that if I scale that back, I have more money to put elsewhere. It is the same principle with our time. It's the same principle. And so answer that question honestly. What little things? Is it social media? Is it Netflix and chill? And none of these things are bad things. But anything that we're doing in excess can be a bad thing. It can become a bad thing, right? And so what little things am I spending my time on? Again, like I said, social media. It could be watching too much TV. It could be shopping too much. It could be online shopping. Whatever the case may be, it may be doing your makeup for too long, and whatever it is, I just cannot just say that I don't understand people that spend an hour a day on their makeup. What are you doing to your face? I don't get it. I don't have that kind of time, but some people do. But again, if you scale back on some of that time, perhaps you'll see that you have time to do some of those things that you've been putting off. So, what little things, if you're writing this down, and I would encourage you to, because you may be driving right now, maybe you might want to put it in the notes in your phone, whatever it is, you may be catching the replay of this. Really think those things through. I want you to sit with them and not just answer them as you're watching this live, because you're not going to see any change that way. Okay, so I want you to really think it through and answer honestly. What area, this is the next question, what areas can I use more discipline? What areas, I know exactly for me what areas I can use more discipline, but for you, what areas can you use more discipline? Perhaps it is spending time with God, starting your day in prayer. Maybe it is, um, I'm sorry, y'all, my phone was ringing and that almost lost my train of thought, but maybe it is an area that you need more discipline in. Maybe even your business, you need to be disciplined. Your growth as an employee, maybe you need to be disciplined. Maybe even being a parent or being a spouse, whatever it is, what areas can I use more discipline? Maybe it's in my time management, what we're talking about tonight, managing our time and maximizing our moment, right? So maybe it is those things, but I don't want to answer that for you. I want you to be honest and answer how and what areas can I use more discipline? I want you to honestly answer that question because you know who knows you best? You do. You know, people may think they know us and they may say, oh, she seems like she has a lot of discipline and she seems like she handles this well and she always seems very timely, but you know that you are running over people trying to get to where you need to go. You know yourself best. And so I want you to be honest as you're answering these questions. All right. Next one. Where am I focusing too much on yesterday in the past? And I heard a pastor say this, that two things rob us from today. And I thought it was just a profound statement. That's yesterday and tomorrow. There's only two things that rob us of today. And so think about, am I focusing too much on my past? Am I focusing too much on past regrets? Maybe past mistakes? Maybe someone who was wronged me? Maybe I'm focusing on my anger and how much I can't forgive them. I'm stuck in unforgiveness. Whatever the case may be, what am I stuck on in yesterday? And what part of that is taking up a lot of my time? Okay? So thank you, Sandra. Yes, yes, yes. That I'm telling you, these questions, if you answer them, I promise you it will help you to maximize your moment. Wow, is right, Melissa. This is why I wanted to share this information because I know that it's helpful. And this show is all about helping women to heal well, to be whole, and to live in freedom. And I know we can't live in freedom if we are bound by our own time that God has given us, if we cannot use that time wisely. So, where am I focusing on too much on yesterday? And then the next question is, where am I focusing on too much on tomorrow? Am I worrying about tomorrow? Am I worrying about how this is going to happen? How this relationship is going to be restored? How, whatever the case might be, am I worried about it? Am I even planning too much for tomorrow? And there's nothing, it's nothing wrong with planning. But sometimes when we try to plan too much, the root of that really is fear. We're really fearful of what's going to happen. So we feel like if I can plan everything out, then I can stop this from happening. And we don't have the power to do that. So, what we're talking about tonight, because there's some things that are completely out of our control, and that's one of them. Okay, we can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. So, that's why we have to maximize our moments for today. We can't control that. So there's no need of worrying about it. There's no need of being fearful about what tomorrow is going to bring, right? There's no need of focusing our time and energy on that when we cannot control it. What we're talking about today is maximizing your moments and focusing on what can I control and what can I do better at. That's what we're talking about. So that was question number 5. And I will recap these before I get off. Okay. And then the next question is, am I living? And this is a big one. Am I living according to what I value? You know, you hear people say, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, right? Can we just, we're just going to keep it all the way real tonight. And you hear people say that I'm a Christian, I believe in God, and that is something that they claim to value. But if we were to really pull the screen back on their time and how it is spent, you might start to question their values. Do they really? Because I never saw you pray today. I didn't see you read. I didn't see you acknowledge God in anything. Do you really? Is that what you really value? And so think about that for a second. Look at your values, what you say you value. Maybe it's family. Can I look at your time and see you spending time with your family? Maybe scheduling dinner at night with your family, putting your phone away for just a little bit. Listen, I have been guilty of all of these things. And God is showing me some things that I need to correct. And so, again, I can't just, when I get the information, whether it's like I said, it's from God or from other people, whatever the case may be, I have to get it and implement it and act on it myself first before I can give it to you. And so, Allison, thank you for joining. Worrying about the what ifs of tomorrow is a strong I have to fight against. Thank you so much for your honesty. And you know what? That is something that I have to fight against as well. And it definitely is a stronghold. It definitely is something that, because my mind can just go and go and go and go. You ever had just anything that's going on in your life and your mind just flies? I mean, you are just thinking in overdrive about, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And then you're also putting together a plan of how you're going to handle what if it does happen. Well, in most cases, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, but we're worried about, and I have lost, I'm just going to be honest because I can talk about me. I have lost sleep worrying about tomorrow. What ifs? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? I've lost sleep over it. That is not maximizing my moment because that is time in my day when I'm not even dealing with the day that I've been blessed with, but instead I'm focusing on a day that I have not seen. And honestly, a day that I don't know that I will see. And so think of it in those terms when we're talking about focusing too much on tomorrow. And again, I'll repeat that for those of you who are just joining. Two things that will rob us of today is yesterday and tomorrow. So think about that. So again, does my values align with how I spend my time? Does my values align? And that's kind of just the second part of the question I've already asked. So it's not a new question. Am I living according to what I value? Okay. Whatever it is that you value, one of the things that I do with my clients, depending on what the issue is that that they're being seen for, I do a values exercise with them, which really just helps them to learn what it is that they value and then see if their life is aligned with what they say they value. Because we can say a lot of things that, yes, this is what I'm so adamant about this, or I'm such a believer in this, or I really value this. But then again, when we look at our time, we don't see that at all. We see instead that we're valuing social media, or that we're valuing TV, or that we're valuing reading, because there's nothing wrong with reading, but if I value my family, I can't be lost in a book all day. And so think about those things. Melissa says, I know to give it to God, but worry holds me back. And I am doing better as saying, God, it is yours. I can't even. And that's a very real place. It's a very real place. And you know what we do sometimes? We say, God, it's yours. And then something triggers that thought again, and we are right back, and we pull it, we take it back. We take that thought back away from God. And instead of leaving it in his hands. And so I think, if we're honest, we all have struggled with this at some point in our lives. The what ifs. And because you know what? And this is the true matter of it all. What we're talking about tonight, the type of time we're talking about, the 24 hours we have in a day, is time that a lot of it is under our control. What worries us the most is the parts of it that is not under our control. Those things that may happen that get us off schedule, those things that we did not prepare for, those things that we did not see coming. That's what really shakes us. And so it is an ongoing process to continually give that to God. It's an ongoing process to do that. All right. So those are the questions. So I'm going to reread these questions for you. The first one, number one, says, what little things are you spending your time on that could impact you getting to where you want to be? More importantly, where God has created you to be. You ever have that longing in your heart where you know, like, there's so much more? There's so much more to my life. There's so much more that I believe God is showing me and that He wants me to be. But I have to put in the work to become that. Just because He has these goals for me and He sees my potential, I have to put in the work to do it. And I read something today, and it just struck me, and it said this. It said, nobody else is any better than you. You're just inconsistent. And I was like, ouch. Anybody else can say, ouch. There are some areas in our life where we are just inconsistent. But that is something that we can control. So we're talking about maximizing our moment. The next question, number two, is what areas can I use more discipline so that I don't continue to be inconsistent? Sometimes we have good intentions. It is like that first of the year when everybody's trying to get their summer body and summer fine, and we're trying to do all of these things. And so we're going to the gym and we're doing all of this stuff to try to get back right. And somewhere about February, March, we lose it. Inconsistencies. And so we have to take it day by day and have a plan for how we're going to maximize our moment. We have to do that. Third question, where am I focusing too much on yesterday? Stuck in my past. Where am I focusing too much on yesterday? Number five, was that number five? I think that's number four. Yes, number four, where am I focusing too much on tomorrow? Okay, that's number four. Number five, am I living according to what I value? Do the two align? Do they align together? All right. So those are the five questions that I asked. And so I want you to think about this, that time is one of those things that we either use or we lose. You know, when you're on your job and you get that sick leave, I bet you're not letting that time run out. No, because you want to use it, right? And if you don't use it, then you want to be paid out towards retirement. So you're not just letting that time and you're not doing anything right out and you're not doing anything with it. So then why are we doing that with the time that God is giving us, the 24 hours that we have in a day? And so I really want you to think about that. And so, again, time is something that we use or we lose. And it's just that simple. But you know what? It's really not. Because if it was that simple, we all would have this area together. We all would have our time management down pat. We all would be consistent in every area of our life. We would pay attention to how we're spending our time. We would prioritize what's important. We will set deadlines on things that we want to accomplish. So if it was that easy, we would all do it. But it's not that easy. And that's why I wanted to give this reminder, because this is not necessarily new information that you may not have never heard before, right? But it is information that we all need that check to say, am I really maximizing my day? And I heard someone say this, and I thought it was so powerful, that is God saying about your day that, you really mistreated what I gave you today. You really mismanaged what I gave you. And we all get the same amount of time. We can't add to it, we can't delete from it. We all get the same amount of time. But what are we doing with our day? And so I really want to encourage you to really start thinking about, what do I just have information? And I've been saying over and over and over, I know I need to change this because I have the knowledge that what I'm doing could be done better, right? But remember, in order for transformation to occur, there has to be implementation. And when the transformation does not occur, we cannot blame anyone but ourselves if we have not put in the work. We have to put in the work to see transformation. We have to put in the work. There's no skipping the process. There's no way around it. We have to put in the work to see the transformation. And so I really want to encourage you to lose whatever excuses that you've been giving yourself. Lose the excuses. Really put in the work to start maximizing your day while it is day. While time is on your side, really start to maximize your moments. And so I hope that this was helpful. Again, I am Marie, your healing coach, and I position women to heal well, to be whole, and to live in freedom. And each week, when I come before you, I want it to be a message of healing, a message of wholeness, and a message of freedom, because I believe that we should experience those three things in every area of our lives. And if you do not currently do that, then perhaps there's something that you need to implement. And maybe it is beyond you. Maybe you do need some help. Maybe you need therapy. Maybe you need someone to call that can pray with you. Maybe you do need to start coaching, to hire yourself a coach. Whatever it is up to you to start today. So I look forward to our tea time next week. I never get to drink all of my tea, y'all. It always gets cold because I just enjoy talking and with you guys. And thank you so much to those of you who chimed in and joined the conversation tonight. So, and if you have topic ideas or something that you want me to discuss um, during Time for Tea with Marie, or if you have anything that you would like me to be in prayer with you about, I would be honored to do so. So I am here to serve. You can send me a message. Um, you can contact me on my website at www.iamarmarie.com. So I will look forward to chatting with you soon. But until next time, at Time for Tea with Marie, I hope that you all have a great night. Thank you for tuning in.